Hello, my friends. My name is Sensei Alexey Kunin, and this is my life journey. Uh, we were talking in the previous videos classifying different styles of martial arts and its practical application to combat and practical application to fighting and self-defense. Today I would like to talk a little bit about MMA and its practical application on the street and also in fighting and in real combat. Before we talk about a little bit about MMA, let me kind of quickly introduce myself. Some of you already know me from my lectures and seminars when I used to travel all over the world teaching traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. But if you don't know me, again, my name is Sensei Alexey Kunin. I have been practicing and teaching martial arts, specializing in traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu for over 47 years. I am a U.S. Army veteran. I trained first as a combat medic in the Army, and then I studied occupational therapy and behavioral science. I am a veteran of two wars, Panama War and Gulf War, which is a desert storm. I travel a lot. After I finished my military service, I lived in Los Angeles, grew up in Los Angeles in California. Originally, I was born in Ukraine, growing up in the United States. I studied in the United States. I studied political science and Eastern philosophy. And then I traveled. I was teaching many seminars, organizing international tournaments, competitions, teaching seminars for military and police in many countries. I spent 2 years living in Asia. I taught many different classes and seminars in many European countries. I lived in Asia, so I had a chance to travel to different Asian countries. I traveled to Africa, North and South Africa. I've been to Caribbean, to many different islands and countries teaching seminars in Caribbean region. I've been to South America. I've been to Australia many times teaching seminars. So I have a pretty good background understanding the principles and philosophy of martial arts and its applications. Like I said, when I travel, I used to teach the military and police in many different countries and regions. I was invited by government officials, by private sports organizations and different martial arts federations to teach. My specialty is traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. It's my specialty, and I'm considered an expert in this field, in the area of Jiu-Jitsu. I met over the years many good teachers and masters in different styles of martial arts. I met amazing karate teachers, judo teachers, jiu-jitsu teachers, and so I know the difference and quality of different martial arts and different instructors and teachers. When I say teacher, it's a highly respected word. Instructor, it's a person who just instruct something. He goes by the instruction. He's not really a teacher. A teacher is a person who spends years and years practicing and teaching the art, and he's becoming more as a leader. So in a Eastern European tradition, when we say teacher, it means we highly respect that person, because he's not just a teacher in the field of sports and martial arts, but he's also a teacher where he guides and teach people on much deeper level. Since I was born in Ukraine, in reality, when I was born in Ukraine, it was not Ukraine. It was part of Soviet Union. So I'm coming from an old school mentality of Soviet Union training. And that kind of training, doesn't matter if it's sports or martial arts, is a high quality, hardcore training. I spent many times for many years, more than 15 years, coming to Russia after Soviet Union fall apart, and I was invited by many people in Russia to teach traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. In Russia, I was coming to a Russian Federation for twice a year in the past 15 years. I've been to Ukraine as well. And now the war, because of the war between Russia and Ukraine, I don't have a chance to travel to those areas anymore. So hopefully very soon I will be able to resume my training and traveling to this particular area of Russia and Ukraine. But at the moment, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to wait till the war is over. But I don't want to talk about the political conflict. It's not the scope of our martial arts discussion. So I'm gonna be very neutral on that subject. Even so, I was born in Kiev, Ukraine, but I still grew up in the United States. And since I was 12 years old, I was living in California, growing up, you know, a typical California person, you know, surfing, traveling, learning. Growing up in California was very special because at that time when I was young, California was a very special place. It was a mecca for a lot of martial arts movement. A lot of great teachers from all over the world would come to California, to Los Angeles, because of the Hollywood. So it attracted a lot of good teachers in many styles of martial arts. And when I was growing up as a teenager, for me, that was wow. You know, you had a chance to visit many amazing styles of martial arts and teachers without traveling outside of the country. So I have something to compare. I have a good perspective, understanding quality of training and different quality of teachers. Besides martial arts, I also studied and now I practice and teach Eastern healing arts. I've been practicing yoga, Hatha yoga, which is a physical yoga, and also Kundalini yoga. So now I teach Himalayan Hatha yoga. It's a physical aspect of yoga. I teach Raja yoga. I teach Reiki. I do a lot of energy work, spiritual work. I teach Tai Chi and Qigong. And it's very important in your life to have balance between hardcore training in martial arts and spiritual side of Eastern healing arts. And all my students in advanced classes, I do focus specifically that once you progress as a martial artist and you become good fighter, don't forget about the healing aspect of martial arts, spiritual arts, because a good fighter, it's not just a fighter, it's not just, you know, warrior, but he has to have a balanced life as a spiritual person. So teaching restoration therapy, different Amma techniques, using massage, pressure points, it's very, very important. So to my advanced students, I teach different restoration therapy techniques like Amma and the Seifuku Jitsu, which is part of the Jiu-Jitsu training, how to restore the body, how to use different herbs to keep your body healthy, meditation. It's very, very important in personal life and spiritual life and in martial arts training to keep your mind pure, focused. So when you train every day and you practice your meditation, you become very focused and you keep on paths that you chose, because we all choose our own paths in life, traveling, spiritual journey. Martial arts could be also the spiritual journey. So meditation is very, very important to practice on a daily basis. And I teach Buddhist meditation, and I teach Hindu meditation, and it's very, very important to understand the cultural aspects of Taoism and Buddhism and Hinduism. Because of my practice of yoga and learning yoga when I was young, you have to understand a little bit of spiritual practice of the roots of yoga, which is Hinduism. When you're practicing meditation and martial arts, you have to understand the philosophical background of Buddhism. When you practice Tai Chi and Qigong, you have to understand the philosophical background of Taoism. So it's a journey. My life is a journey because I teach, I practice, I travel. So for me, martial arts, it's not just the fighting arts, it's a spiritual journey of self-discovery. So I'm learning about myself when I meditate, I'm learning about myself and about the art that I teach. When I'm teaching classes, I'm always learning something new. I see how to improve my teaching skills when I teach, especially when I travel to different countries, different cultures, different languages. You have to adapt how you're gonna teach certain techniques to present them to different cultures and different people. So for me, Jiu-Jitsu, traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, it's a spiritual journey. When I'm growing, I'm still growing and learning and expanding my knowledge, my wisdom, and I'm trying to stay on my spiritual journey, on my spiritual path as a teacher, as a mentor, and as a true sensei. I was mentioning in the beginning of the video that we're going to talk a little bit about MMA. So what is MMA? Mixed martial arts. And how do what we see on television, on YouTube, on different fighting, on the tournaments when they use MMA, it's, we've been so much brainwashed by the media that we think, a lot of young generation think it's like ultimate fighting when you fight MMA. I don't know. I'll give you a logical kind of my thoughts on mixed martial arts. When you go training in MMA and then you go to competition, ask yourself a question. When you go on the street, are there rules? Are there regulations? Are there going to be somebody in the middle of the ring stopping the fight, saying you cannot hit somebody in the neck or the eyes or the ears? You cannot hit somebody in the groin? You cannot break somebody's fingers or hands? You cannot choke somebody or somebody attacks you with a knife or a stick? It's illegal in MMA. There's a weight categories. There's a lot of rules. There's regulations. There are certain things that you cannot do on the ring when you're fighting. There is a referee who will stop the fight if something happens. So it creates a lot of limitations for real combat application. Because when you go on the street and fight on the street, there is no referee, there is no weight categories, there is no rules and regulations. You're fighting for your life. There's going to be a knives, if there's more people than one attacking you. There's going to be sticks, metal sticks, wooden sticks. There is no nice tatami or mat on the floor. There is broken glass. There is rocks. Could be dark. So there is many factors that will influence your fighting strategy. So ask yourself a question. Is your training in MMA will be effective on the real street? When you're fighting in a dark alley, will your MMA technique will work? What if there is more than one attacker? What if there's 2 or 3 people attacking you? Will those techniques will be realistic in defending yourself? Because remember, martial arts, the definition of martial arts, it's military arts. That means military arts is designed to teach you how to fight. So it's not just a self-defense. It's a fight, combat applications on the street or in the war military applications. So I'm not gonna say about bad things about MMA, I'm just letting you think. I want you to start thinking the practical application in the street or in combat or in a war situation. Is your MMA techniques will be enough by practicing? By the way we train, that's how we're gonna fight outside of the dojo environment. So if you train with rules and regulations, things that you cannot do to a body, to your opponent, that means your body, your mind, subconsciously and muscle memory will do the techniques exactly how you train in your school, in your dojo, on the street, in combat, or in, God forbid, in a war situation. So you have to be honest to yourself, you have to be honest to your students, and you have to explain there is a lot of, if there any style of martial arts creates rules and regulations, things that you can and cannot do, that you cannot apply in a real combat, how good is that art when it comes to real fighting, real situation? So this is kind of very short talk about MMA, and give you a little bit background about myself so you understand where I'm coming from and my background in training. Like I said, I've been practicing and teaching for over 47 years. My specialization is traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. And I used a lot of techniques in fighting. A lot of my students served in the military in many different countries, not just in the United States, but many different countries in many different military conflicts. And because of the things that I taught them, combat practical application using Jiu-Jitsu techniques, there's still some writing me letters saying, thank you, Sensei, for teaching me. Because of your knowledge and your skill and the way you pushed us mentally and physically and taught us those practical techniques, we're still alive. So I feel very grateful that I was honestly teaching a good quality techniques to my students so they survived in a combat environment and using what they learned in the dojo. So I'm very grateful and I feel proud that I was teaching something honest, something realistic, and I'm still learning myself. Learning never ends. It's a process that it's like a spiritual journey. It's always growing, never ends. So keep practicing, don't stop practice. Doesn't matter how many years you've been practicing and teaching martial arts. Keep practicing because there is always room for improvement. I myself, every day when I teach, I always analyze my techniques, trying to make them better, more flowing, more logical, more economically movement, more effective. Always thinking, always trying to improve myself and my techniques, and in the long run, to improve my students' fighting abilities. And I hope I did some positive influence in my life to many students that I met. And so write me, let me know what you think. I have YouTube channel. I am all over Facebook. I have like pages on Facebook. I created a few international organizations. And in my next video, we'll talk about those organizations that we have over the years that we've been created, and because of those organizations we promote a lot of interesting international events. So again, my name is Sensei Alexey Kunin. This is my dojo, KATABAMI Jiu-Jitsu Dojo in Omaha, Nebraska, United States. And I wish you well, stay healthy, meditate, and the most important thing, be real. Be real to yourself and be pure. Goodbye.